Hello and welcome to Hot Issues. Today we are looking at the energy sector. Precisely, we are looking at doomsaw, and all the things that have caused it, and we'll be taking some projections into the future. We are very, very fortunate to have somebody with us in the studio who should know what all of this is about and who should be able to give us some authoritative answers. This is Hot Issues. Hello and welcome back to Hot Issues. And as I indicated from the very beginning, we're looking at the energy sector. And who better to talk to than the minister himself, the minister with responsibility for energy. So you're welcome to the studio.
It is good to be here.
Yes, sir.
It's good to be in Hot Issues. So I'm sitting on the hot chair. It's good to be here.
The chair is not that hot. Anyway, what is the situation with regards to the supply of electricity?
Thank you very much. What is the situation with regards to the supply of electricity? I think that what has happened is that our current demand for electricity is growing very, very fast. It started a long time ago, but the percentage of increases is actually deepening. In 2012, as an example, the demand in peak time was 1,700. 2013 it moved to 1,900. We project that by the end of this year it's going to be 2,200 megawatts. So that it means that on an annual basis we must add to the generation a minimum of 2,250 megawatts. That's huge investment, but we must be very consistent in its addition. While we do that, we must also make sure that there's the alternative, the very critical component, which is the fuel, the cheaper fuel source that will continue to make the electricity cheaper. And so that's where we are. Now, if you look at it, and I think that in answering how we address these issues, let me make it very clear that the people of Ghana have every right to be very upset. And I think that for us who have the responsibility today to make sure we find the solutions, we accept that responsibility and we take all the challenges, the insults, and we are very committed to addressing this issue. But it will be very helpful to make sure that as we address the issue, we put it in perspective so that we say that we will never again get to this place. How did we get here? If you recall, in 1966, we had our first Akosombo Dam. We had so much hydro, and at the point there was huge criticism that what are we doing with all this power? In fact, at the point we had to supply other countries like Togo, Benin, and get Valco to come in to set up the smelter plant so that they can use huge, almost 60% of it. We didn't add anything to our generation to 1972, where we added some more turbines. We didn't add anything to 1982, where we brought Pong. That was almost 8 to 10 years. From 1982, we never added any generation till 1998. You can look at it. And then early 90s we began a very aggressive rural electrification program, where for the first time we said as a country that we are going to make sure there's equity in the provision of electricity to every rural community. We set a target, we're going to do this in 30 years. And so we began. And as we supplied communities with electricity, what then should have been happening was that we had to make sure that there was a complementary addition of generation capacity. But if you look at the number there, the last time we added another generation after that period was in 2000. And after 2000, we never added anything until 2007. But remember, every time in this period when we try to add anything, we are adding it because we are in crisis. If you recall, 2000 crisis, power crisis, 1999, 2000, If you recall, power crisis 2007, and in 2007, you know what happened? What happened was that the mining companies were so worried about the effect on their industries that they came together and put that financing for the mining reserve plant. Then we tried to do another one. We tried, the discussion started in 2008. We commissioned in 2009. We brought Tema 1. 2010, we brought another Tema plant. Tema 2. Moving the generation up. But in all of these periods, demand for electricity is increasing. We are not actually adding it because we are sitting down and saying that this is the quantity that we need. This is the generation capacity that we have to add based on the demand. We are just adding it in crisis. We are not properly. And so 2010 we did. And then we continued on. The good news is that I think that the wake-up call hit us. And so we began discussing and asking the big questions. Why is it that we've announced that IPPs should be coming and they are not coming? What has happened to our hydro status? And we realized, our big rivers are gone. And then all of a sudden we saw that the biggest river we have was Buah. And after that, all we have is the mini hydros. And so going forward into the very near future, it will be Tema plants that will be, quite frankly, led by independent power producers. That's why the issue of the right price to attract them came in. And so as we speak, and that's why we come to 2013. The good news is that 2013, yes, we brought T3, we brought Buah. For the first time, we moved to pass renewable energy to make sure there are alternatives to add to the generation. The act, and now for the first time, we had 2 megawatt solar that is added to the grid. And we are now promoting individuals to add. But the reality is that we are in 2014. Demand for electricity is growing. And in all of this process, we realized that we needed cheap fuel and went straight to the West Africa gas pipeline project that was really a hallmark for something that would promote ECOWAS unity. Ghana was a founding member, and we invested hugely in this facility that cost $1 billion. The commitment was that Nigeria was to add and make sure on a daily basis they are giving us 123 million scarf a day of gas. What has happened is that since that contractual obligation was signed, Nigeria has not been keeping those obligations. And they've been so erratic in the supply that it has been disrupting our plans. In the meantime, we've been having other challenges, and that led to the current crisis. The current crisis happened because we already knew we needed to expand all those steam turbines. So we are focusing on expanding as part of this year's effort. We've decided that on a yearly basis we have to add generation. I'm happy that last year we added 534 with Buah T3. This year our focus is adding 332. And one is the 110 in Takoradi and the Kpong in 2012, which is currently aggressively going on. That steam turbine got to a point where they needed to shut that plant down. Was planned and couple it and make sure it has connection with the TICO, the old plant. As soon as that plant was shut down, we had a problem with the compressor next door with the TAPCO plant. That would 150 completely off. It was within that moment Nigeria basically stopped bringing us gas. So all of these three things was happening at the same time. Certainly within a minute we find ourselves losing almost 600 megawatts. And remember, as soon as Nigeria stops gas, it means that Sonny Asogli and other plants that use only gas must shut down. And that is what got us into this. We had to go to Nigeria to insist that they must come meet the obligations. And they gave us all the reasons they can give us about pipeline vandalism, new generation thermal plants they are building, their own challenges, and they promise to increase it. Indeed, they have increased it immediately. Asogli has come back. What that says about where we are right now is that, one, we must focus on increasing generation on an annual basis, and we cannot miss it. We can't miss it. We must also continue to be aggressive on looking for the cheaper fuel sources and other alternatives that ensures that we are aggressively meeting the demand for electricity. That's why last year we led, forcefully with the support of His Excellency, to approve another 10 That will bring almost 80 million cubic feet of gas, adding to this 120. And 10 is coming. We are almost finishing with another aggressive negotiation with Sankofa. That will bring almost 150. But we project that with all of these additions of volumes of gas that are coming, if you match that with the demand that is really annually coming, we must look at other alternatives. We are currently working on a feasibility. We've already identified sites for LNG so that we can also transport gas from long distances. I'll go to Equatorial Guinea tomorrow with my friends from Cote d'Ivoire and others to strategically discuss long-term gas supplies from that country and other places that will supplement what we have. And so I think that this is where we are as we do these things. And the point I made was that because it is the IPPs that must also complement this effort, the issue of the right price that will attract them, and the issue of making sure the distribution utility, which is ECG, being very effective, to be aggressive on looking for the cheaper fuel sources and other alternatives that ensures that we are aggressively meeting the demand for electricity. That's why last year we led, forcefully with the support of His Excellency, to approve another 10 that will bring almost 80 million cubic feet of gas, adding to this 120. And 10 is coming. We are almost finishing with another aggressive negotiation with Sankofa. That will bring government agencies. You don't have to worry. 600 secondary schools, all universities, all polytechnics. All you have to do is just leave the light on, and at the end of the month, just send the bill to the Minister of Finance to pay. Huge bills. And so we were basically rounding up. It is only in the last few years where this policy is in place. So ministries, departments, agencies, and critical institutions all taking responsibility. Of course, there are waivers for critical institutions like hospitals and others. But we are saying that everybody must take responsibility for the electricity they use. And so you're going to be given a stipend for your electricity, manage it well, turn the light off and conserve energy if you don't need it. But this is where we are going, and that is where I come in as a minister.
So my understanding is that you're saying that we are where we are today, one, because we've not been adding on to the generation
that capacity. Is correct.
We didn't get sufficient gas from Nigeria.
No, correct.
And?
Yes. We didn't get sufficient gas from Nigeria. Of course, the second thing is that we didn't add enough generation quick enough. The other issue was that the issue of conservation, that is also critical.
Yeah,
it's not something we've driven, and you don't blame the people of Ghana for it. We have not led the effort over the years that is so cautious that it is a sin to basically leave the light on when you're going to work or when you're going to bed. That is where other countries have been able to do. It is like how we've been able to mentally train children all over the place, where it is unthinkable to throw trash on the street. The same way it will be unthinkable, for example, to leave any electrical appliance on when you are not using it. Because think about it, almost 40%, close to 40% of the electricity that is produced is actually going waste through all of these areas I'm talking about. And so as we discuss the strategy to be self-sufficient, and quite frankly to take the opportunity, and this is an opportunity, we as a country can become the net exporter of power in the sub-region, because we have what it takes. We are able to produce good electrical engineers and good engineers. We are able to move. We are leading the efforts in transmission infrastructure. For the first time this year, we are close by next year. Transmission is going straight to Nigeria.
But when would this crisis be over?
This is a very good question. This crisis, as I said, and that's why I went with the media. And when I went, my message was clear. I told the engineers, I said, you know what? I'm not going to take your heat for you again. And the process, let everybody think that it's President Mahama. As I said, there are three things that we are looking at. The TAPCO plant, the compressor that has seriously damaged, is being repaired. Luckily for us, we have a compressor that is in place. and so they are just simply replacing it. That process is going to take up to June, the end of June. But that plant itself, the 150 megawatt, is just a plus. If the volumes of gas continue to come, what it means is that we can get Sonia Circular to give us full capacity. The mine reserve plant can come on, and the thermal plant that also use that will come on. What we are looking forward now is the TICO plant, which is 200 megawatts. We think, and that's what the engineer said. They've told us that early next month.
That is April.
That's April. They told us that they are able to finish that repair. As soon as that finishes, it means 200 megawatts coming. It has to come and coincide with a volume of gas coming from Nigeria. That is quite frankly going to give us the comfort for all these thermal plants. And that is what takes us to our next critical project, which is our gas infrastructure.
So are we saying that by the middle of April,
this temporary challenge,
we should be able to
all things being equal, all things being equal, and that's why the earlier it was said that we believe that this is a temporary challenge. We are doing everything possible to make sure that we are out of it, and then once we get out of it, we have to make sure we are so diligent to make sure we don't get back to it. The key is making sure, and I told Ghana Gas and the engineers, and let me say that they are working very hard. But I'm not interested anymore in any time, any days they are giving me. The people of Ghana need the gas, period. And give us the gas. And that's what we are working overtime. I have a gas task force that currently is working. On a weekly basis, we are meeting. And it's a huge project. Think about this. The FPSO is producing oil and gas, and we are re-injecting gas. We have laid a pipeline 65 kilometers onshore to Atuabo. The gas processing plant is also being put together. The instrumentation is over 1,100 processes, things they are putting together. Then there's a pipeline 111 kilometers to Abuazi, a tie in there to all those thermal plants. Now they project that they are mechanically going to finish this. The next process will be that all of this will be tested to make sure that everything is speaking to each other. And then the commissioning will start. We can be lucky, and then as soon as the commission starts, no problems. Or as soon as they start to realize, oh, there's a leakage in somewhere in between. Before you get to Takoradi, in Pumpuni somewhere, they need to go and fix it. There's here. There's also tying that needs to be done at the Jubilee field. As I speak, we have so many ships that are working 24 hours to do all of this. We know it's a lot of work, but they also understand that this is the key to addressing this problem. We don't rest there. As soon as that happens, our next thing is how much additional volumes. Think about this. That volumes of gas that is coming is going to be equal to the volumes that we get from Nigeria. And so this is what I say. As soon as, God willing, our gas start flowing, what we say is that yes, we're going to push the Nigerians to be contractually responsible for what they've signed. But what happens is that that gas that is coming from Nigeria then becomes a plus.
It becomes something that you rely on. In
Yes.
Yeah.
So they use it for the thermal plants, and then we can focus on the Abuazi plant. So I believe that this is where we've come. We have to say, and I think that is where when I hear the anger, I say yes. I think in our anger we have to say never again, never ever again will we, knowing what we know, rest.
Can we safely say that the crisis we're having today will not reoccur?
That's a very good question, and that question takes us to exactly the things I'm focusing on. I've laid out a plan that gets us to at least 5,000 megawatts. As I speak, and you have to see the speed at which some of these IPP projects have been approved. We are personally taking leadership, bringing organizations that have to approve one thermal plant: Environmental Protection Agency, Energy Commission, ECG. Then the land is one side. That one I don't even want to describe it. The ministry itself, Attorney General's Department, so many agencies. Now you go to cabinet and then you go to parliament. Now these processes can take years. what we are doing is that we are doing something called delivery unit. You walk in and we've experimented with it. And we started simply making a phone call, and this is what we've been doing. I call EPA, I call Energy Commission. I said, this guy has come in. He says he has the money. He wants to put 200 megawatts. All he needs the licenses. What do you need? He says, this form. I said, I expect you to go through the process within 1 week and make it happen. And you'll be amazed for the first time. We have a company that our own is close. It's able to go through all these processes. A process that has taken others 5 years. He's done it in less than 3 months. And you know what that says? It says that if we can stay focused on this critical challenge and make sure we understand the things that are delaying some of these projects, we can get there. And I think we are providing that leadership.